Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. And so for those of you guys that are watching, I thought I'd do something a little bit different today for our Amazon followers and community is, when the pandemic hit, one of the things that happened on the Amazon side, Olivia probably aren't as tied into this side of things, but is that Amazon shut down their warehouses. People could not send their inventory back into Amazon. So that got a lot of people thinking, including myself, that, we should definitely not be so dependent on Amazon as a lot of us that are in that space are. And I know you've had success and an interesting journey through the e-commerce space. So I thought we could start there. Maybe just share a little bit about your background. Like to begin with, how long have you been doing e-commerce, or how long have you been selling online for?
I originally started in 2017 with my store, but I was doing drop shipping and I had taken a course and it just kind of went crashing down. So then in December 2018, I ended up getting my own product and starting my store pretty much from scratch. So just over a year now.
Very cool. Very cool. We'll dig into that. See, we got people joining in. Mike McClary's on, says, "What's up?" Hey, Mike. We got a bunch of people joining in. That's very cool. So very interesting. How about, so you are in Colorado, you said, right? But how about, what's your background? What were you doing before you started selling online?
I worked in the nonprofit world, and I was pretty much a glorified assistant in marketing, but I was able to do a little bit of marketing, but really never sold any kind of product, no experience.
Oh, so you're like the classic example of a real life example of, never done this before, but now I've had some success with it. How about, what made you think, what was kind of the motivation? I think, even though what you're doing in terms of e-commerce and what, let's say, Amazon sellers, the channel is different. The why, I find, for a lot of people we work with and or in the community are similar. Just curious, kind of, what was the impetus and the motivation for you to jump into e-commerce?
I had heard about passive income and people were talking about making money in your sleep. And that just made me think, why am I putting in all of these hours when instead of money translating to, or hours translating to money, how could I make money just happen? And so that was kind of the original idea. And I started doing tons of research on the internet, finding out what other people are doing, finding drop shipping and all of these other kind of scenarios that I was trying to figure out what would be best for my life.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So you're literally starting from scratch, right? You have like you want to earn passive income, and it's doing something online, but you're not really that picky at that point, it sounds like. So
Yeah.
even did you right away know that, hey, I want to sell products, or did you look at other things? Just curious where that began.
That's interesting. Yeah. So when I had this idea, I was actually in school to be a yoga instructor. So I thought, what if I could do some YouTube videos and maybe make some money that way, include a product. And I had thrown around all of these ideas, but I really hadn't landed on one thing. And I just knew that I wanted to make money. So I didn't really care what I was doing.
Yep. And that, which again, I would say pretty much everyone could relate to that story and dynamic, right? That at the end of the day, you are you're trying to make money for there's a reason you need to make the money, which tends to be for other reasons besides the sake of making money. But so yes, you had this balance, and you got into this. I know we'll talk a little bit. I know Alison Prince. Some of you guys probably know Alison. I love Alison. She's a total rock star in her e-commerce space. But how did it end up getting there, and kind of what was that journey like before you started selling products? And then we'll dig into what you sell and how you go about it.
Yeah, I found Alison through a hashtag. So if you think on Instagram, hashtags don't work, I was following hashtag entrepreneur. And I was scrolling through it and I saw this picture of this woman standing on all these boxes. And I was like, who is she? And she had all these kids. And I was like, that could be me. So I started following her, just thinking, oh, she's so cool. She's so great. And she was it was still a little bit newer then. She wasn't as big as she is right now. So I followed everything she talked about. And so that's when I decided that's really what I wanted to do, was what she's doing. And I tried to, every Facebook Live she did, every piece of information she gave out for free, I collected and I kept. And I was kind of piecing a business together, but it was really hard because I just knew I was missing so much information. She would give away really good information, but I still just couldn't get the business to form correctly on my own. It wasn't working.
So Alison's very strategic. She did it just right. Gave you tons of value, but there's still a few pieces left to reel you in, which is how it should work. That's awesome. I mean, the other thing too, obviously, what I find with people is you got to be willing to put in the time and the work, and be willing to be motivated to learn. That's the thing. We can show you exactly what we do, or you can teach everyone exactly what you're doing in your business so far. But at the end of the day, it's up to each of us, from an execution, and you have to have some level of your own reasons and motivation to get after it. And so that's so what was that like? So you're working, I know you have a family, so you're doing, those two things alone is a ton of work. How did you manage to take on this while doing, the rest of your life?
Well, just like you stay up all night. I would just get up really early in the morning. So I would start my morning at 3 sometimes, and I would work on my business from 3 until 8 in the morning. And then around my 5th cup of coffee, I would go to the second job. And thankfully, I was able to do that from home too. So I was always at home, which when you work from home and no one sees you all day, I thought showering, doing all that, waste of time. I just would be in my pajamas all day long, powering through both jobs and then switching back at night to my business. So lots of hours put in, but worth it.
Yeah. So that speaks to, someone putting in the effort, right? It's like, that's working from 3 to 8. That's pretty much like staying up all night. It could go either way. 3 to 8 would be, for me, would be kind of all night. For you, that's a heck of an early start to the day. So that's impressive. So what was it like? So you're selling, and we're going to share kind of what you have your own store, right? So maybe tell people, I guess you're willing to share what in the Amazon world people are, because it's so brand and platform dependent, where everyone's selling on top of each other on the same thing. If you want to share what type of products you sell, and what we'll talk about, your method of selling.
Sure. So I sell jewelry, but it originally started with just these fake engagement rings. I had done what probably everyone else does, and I went on AliExpress, and I just went on a huge shopping spree and bought a ton of random stuff to see what I wanted to sell. And this ring came in, and it looked really realistic to a diamond ring. So my sister-in-law and I were hanging out, and I said, "Hey, can I see your diamond ring?" And she has this huge giant rock. And I set hers next to one of my fake ones, and I take a picture, and they look identical. And that was the moment I was like, I really want to get these rings into other people's hands, because I know so many women want a big ring, or they want some kind of bling, but they can't afford it. So I was like, what if instead of them spending $25,000, they spent $120? And so that was kind of where the idea came from. Now it's a full-on jewelry store. I first learned how to sell jewelry, and I did that for, I think, 4 or 5 months. It was only the rings. And then I added an earring collection, and then a necklace collection. I've slowly staggered to kind of figure out what people want, what they're looking for, and that's how it's evolved now to as many things as we have in the store. It's a lot.
Interesting. So when you first got into beginning, I guess I'll call it the exact beginning, but into moving this direction of selling things, you kind of took a guess or a stab that, hey, I think I like jewelry, I'm going to explore this. Was that the, and when you got those products from Alibaba, was there like products from different categories too, or was it all pretty much jewelry focused?
The clothing, I mean, you name it. I ordered macrame pot holders, like just random stuff that I thought, if I felt some kind of interest towards it, I knew I could build a business on it. So I just wanted something that I would like. Gotcha.
Yep. And at this point too, are you working with Alison's program at this point, or was that before that?
It was before that.
Okay. So
About 2 months before that, because this idea came, and I also was thinking maybe I should just stop trying to make my own business and focus on my career. And so my husband really encouraged me. He said, you should sign up for this course and give it one last shot, because I know that you really want to start your own business. But it was $1,000. And to be honest, at that time, $1,000 was a lot of money to us. And so that was like the hesitant point where I thought, if I lose that $1,000 for my family, that could be really, really hard for me. I couldn't live with myself losing that money.
Wow. So yeah, so you place your bet, you do your research, you followed Alison, and you kind of put it all on red at the table there. And so with Alison's program, besides and I know Alison real well, I don't know her program, so to speak, but I don't. And her is part of that process when you guys are doing things off of Amazon. Is the product research, I imagine, it's got to be a big part of the process. Anyways, in your case, you're kind of taking a shot at jewelry. And the Amazon side, that's like where we always begin, is analyzing all these products, and it could be something that you're not passionate about at all. But I'm sure it's got to be similar. But yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, she does. So in the beginning of her program, she teaches you to test products, and you test them from doing deal sites like Pick Your Plum. It's like a small Zulily if you're not familiar with it. So she encourages you to just buy a bunch of stuff too, or even find stuff around your house, because her big platform is she started selling stuff that nobody wanted around her house. So she kind of teaches people how to build and try deal sites. And so I took my product that I already had, and I did do deal sites, and it failed miserably. And so that's when I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't do jewelry. And that was kind of a big moment for me.
Okay, so you think you shouldn't do it, but how did you go from that point to getting back into it, I guess?
The great thing about Alison is she always has a plan B. And if you're in her program, you learn that there's like always two strategies. So the second strategy is using an influencer. And so an influencer or an affiliate or something like that. And I had followed this woman on social media for a long time. I was just obsessed with her. And so I decided that I would ask her to be an influencer for me. And she was brand new and she was just starting out. So she said, yeah, send me your product and I'll talk about it. So I sent her the product, and it was the craziest thing. So I had 300 in inventory, 300 rings. And I sent her the product, and I didn't know she was just going to get on Instagram and sell it that day. And I think we made about $15,000 in one day.
Really?
And that was the first. I mean, we really didn't even know how to pack boxes. We had to go buy a printer and get all the packing supplies. And we were in our basement. My husband and I were up all night trying to send out all of these rings into boxes. And
that's awesome. So yeah, that's one of those breakthrough moments, right, where it becomes very real. And yeah, so I imagine you're stressed and like exhilarated at the same time.
Yeah. Didn't know what to do with myself. I had never made that much money in my life, so I was like, what do we do?
That's good. And the margins on the margins I know are quite good, right? So in your space, I imagine that that's the one thing. Like Amazon, the margins, I think your margins are probably much higher. Amazon, there's a lot of potential for volume and scalability, but my understanding is you don't have the fees. So when you're selling, what is the nature of the fees for you? Like, so what you sell your own site? Is it through Shopify? What is the e-commerce platform that you sell through?
Yeah, I use Shopify. And with Shopify, I have two different strategies. Do you want me to go into those?
Yeah, that sounds good. And then if you guys are watching too out there, if you're watching it live right now, if you can just type in live, I always like to check through the comments who's watching live, and then or you can put in replay. That's helpful for me. I'll go check it out, and I'm going to put in a couple links for you guys later on, just as we're chit chatting here. But yeah, no, that would be great. So we're Shopify. You guys watching, you've had a proof of concept where you've seen this thing actually work for you. Because I always say to people when we're teaching them, learning is great and us teaching you is great, but you have to make it your own. And happens really for yourself, then you know, like, hey, this is real. So so yes, you have that moment. But yeah, so how about in Shopify? I'd love to learn some strategies on that side.
Yeah, with Shopify, when you first open your site, you expect you're going to have tons of people, but I've learned that you really have to start sending traffic to your store. And my biggest way that I do it is, first of all, through Instagram. And so sending product to influencers and having them give you a shout out or do a promotion or do some kind of sale with you, and then constantly getting on Instagram and posting about that, which can also be exhausting. So it feels more like an Amazon strategy is to use deal sites. So I use 2 deal sites, Groupon and Brad's Deals, and the margins on those are much lower. But we use that to send traffic site. And I think I had 20,000 visitors on my site this April.
Awesome.
Just through those 3 strategies that I use.
Yeah, and for context for people, like when you talk margins, like what do you consider in your business like a good margin versus I don't know, Groupon low margins? Like what's the range, would you say?
It's hard for me to know. Okay, so for my store, if somebody just goes and purchases, it's at minimum an 80% margin.
Whoa.
I know, I feel kind of guilty about it. And then
yes, very guilty. Very guilty.
Yeah. So then I don't know what the margin is for deal sites. I know that I usually make about $5 an order. So we're just counting on volume. Yeah, we'll do a ring.
For like, what's the price there? Like a $20 ring type thing, or?
Yeah, I do $20 ring. And then the biggest part for me is an upsell. So then they get to my website, they like the ring, they add to cart, and then an upsell comes up, and it's a complimentary product that most of the time, I think it's like a 30% conversion with the upsell. So that's really where the money comes in, is not from that deal site deal, but the upsell, and then also the email flow that the customer gets put into. Mm-hmm. So then it's the reoccurring buying that we
that's
really bank on.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's like, kind of perfect traditional marketing right now, or digital marketing right now, in terms of sales funnels and everything else. The one thing with that Shopify platform is you have the opportunity for the one-click upsell and the email follow-up. With Amazon, Amazon makes it more difficult because they own the customer, so to speak. Unless it comes to taxes, then they want to make sure that it's your customer. I always go with Amazon, but but that's huge, right? So you can have a deal site, what you're saying, because this is the same thing like with the coaching business, like AMZ Insiders or those that sell courses and everything. There's that dynamic that you have those one-click upsells and the ability to essentially you could break even. It sounds like on your sale initially, even through the deal sites, but through the upsell and plus the email follow-up, like the lifetime value is where you start really, really adding in there. So that's great. So that makes sense. I would say the one thing about, again, Amazon is all the customers are there. So you have a platform, but there's hundreds of thousands of sellers and they're all competing on the platform. But on Shopify, you're out, you're your own little piece of real estate. So just like, again, we started AMZ Insiders 3 years ago, we had to learn like, oh wait, there's no Amazon here. We got to go build and drive that traffic. You have to build the community yourself. So how did, it sounds like influencer's been your big way. Do you use paid traffic, and such as like Facebook ads, and what do you do for that?
I don't have any paid ads. I've done it all with influencers, and we try to just treat them well, send them free product, and then give them 10% commission, which if they can sell, they can make a lot of money. So the influencers have helped me build my community online. And then I feel like the people, since it didn't come from an ad, it was all organic, they feel some kind of connection to me. And so then it seems like they always sell when we have a product opening or something new or some kind of deal going on. It just feels really organic and really real. We have a strong connection, I feel like, my followers, and they do.
That's great. So that's like the true essence of brand building, right? I mean, you've got like a real organic following. You've got, people that kind of begin to trust you, which is the same thing you described. It sounds like for a while, whether it was Alison, or other people you follow, you develop a level of trust with them online, and then then you want to do business with them, right? So it sounds like with your business, did you have a sense of like repeat customers and any aspect of how much of your business you think is repeat customers versus new people?
Yeah, it used to be a lot more, but now that we have deal sites and more traffic, it's about even. But repeat customers are really big for us, especially with the email chain that they get sent into. I think we have 7,000 email subscribers right now. And I think a good open rate for us is about 20%. Industry average is about 12. And then a click-through rate, we're between 2 and 5 all the time, which is pretty standard. And so when somebody enters into my system, they get put into a chain where first they're introduced to a free plus shipping offer. And then you give to them, you tell them stories, you send them customer testimonials, and then you offer them something again. And so when they're in this chain right now, I think it goes for almost 3 months. We're hoping to have a 6-month chain kind of built out, but it's a lot of work to get those emails to where people want to stay engaged with you. So that's the largest chunk, I think, right now that of repeat business. It comes from the email list.
Yeah. And so the emails itself, building the email sequence, who does that? Do you do that yourself, or do you have?
Yeah, it's just me.
Okay.
Alison helped me out with building it. She gave me a strategy for how many gives to how many asks. But right now, with all of the marketing, I'm kind of a one-woman show.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it's working. But that's, I know, I mean, we have email sequences. It might be, an 11 email sequence. But even that's through a couple weeks. But you're talking like 3 months. And how much are they spaced out?
So first they'll get one email a week. And then when there's a sale, we do a 3-day sale. And so they get 3 right in a row in a 48-hour. And then it's once a week. And then the next ask that we do is a 3-day sale, and they'll do 3. So I'm not sure how many emails that is right now.
Yeah, but that makes sense. That's so it's kind of weekly, and then you hit them, boom, 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 and then
you
paste them again. So yep. No. Yeah, I think for people watching there too, I mean, there's so many similarities. I would say between Amazon and like digital online marketing. So a lot of the stuff that Alison does, that we do here in terms of the community and providing value and those type of things, that same formula, there's just a lot of overlap between the formulas, between that from what you just described for your e-commerce business. What I really like about your model and those that do your model compared to Amazon is it really, I'll say it really pulls you through and forces you to kind of learn some of these steps and then put them in place. And sometimes Amazon's an amazing platform, and there's incredible benefits and advantages to that channel. But sometimes it can make you, I've really never said this before, but it can kind of make you a lazy e-commerce seller in the standpoint that, or you may not know, you never have to learn certain steps that you should know. And I think, whereas the things you're talking about that are things that, we never really did for years because we didn't know about really there was no one-click upsell in Amazon. There wasn't a natural way to flow them into an email sequence. You can do that off of Amazon nowadays in different ways, but is not as pure as kind of what you guys have built in. So that's really cool. So how about, let's talk about, so your product sourcing. So right now you sold, I'll say product sourcing and fulfillment. So right now, before we go there, do you guys fulfill all your own inventory, or does someone do that for you?
We hired last June a company to do it for us that's local here to Colorado Springs. We were really lucky to find just a mom and pop shop that has a warehouse, and they do all of our shipping for us.
Okay, so let's say you sell $100 worth of goods, ballpark, what part of that cost would go to the third-party fulfillment?
my average cart value for a long time was about $100. And so it would cost me $2.25 for them to pack the box, $2.70 for shipping labels, and then less than $1 for the packing material.
So that's all their fees was like $6 or something, like $7, or do they charge a fee? Do they charge another $8 service fee?
Nope, their fee is only $2.25. 50 cents an additional product, but they just pay per package. And then I actually provide all of my own packing material because it's cheaper to do that, and I like the way my stuff looks better. So
that
it's
helps.
very, very reasonably cost effective. That's what.
Yep.
It was great going with somebody like that. And then I know there's another company called ShipZoom, and a lot of people that are in Alison's course love them. They're out of Idaho, and they do a very similar thing, but on a much larger scale.
Yeah, interesting. ShipZoom. So actually it's interesting because that's pretty efficient. That's still a really efficient model. It's not like that eats up a lot of your expenses. In the Amazon world, FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, is what we pretty much we mostly do, and it's incredibly efficient and helpful. But Amazon does take a big fee out of it, and I think over the last month, it's gotten a lot of people's attention that all of a sudden we go to replenish our inventory and Amazon says, no, we're closed. And then, or they say, now they're like, hey, we're open, but we're only open. You can only send us like 300 units. Like before we jumped on the call, I was saying we had some stuff that was selling like crazy during the pandemic, and like non-essential type stuff, but things that were just in demand. And, we're out. So now we're getting it shipped to us, but now Amazon's telling us we can only send in X number. So it's like, really? Come on. So
such a bummer.
See, not your problem, right?
No.
Yeah, no. So again, this is why I think it's good. Just, I think we've always talked in the e-commerce space or Amazon space, it's always good to understand other channels out there and options. But I think it's more real right now than ever because of the dynamic and realizing, Amazon's again, an amazing platform, but there's a lot of risk there when you only have, if you had your whole business just at Amazon and they told you couldn't send inventory, and you'd be screwed, right? Temporarily, if in some ways, if you didn't have this already built out, but you have, because of the work you've put in with it, you have a little more control of your audience and your platform, right?
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage too. I think the startup probably, I don't know a lot about Amazon, but the startup felt so slow. And then you get 100 Instagram followers and you're like, I only have 100. I posted every single day. I've done everything I can. And so the build up was really, really slow, and it still is. It still feels slow to me because I still don't have 10,000 Instagram followers.
Yes,
but you said, and it feels like feature. A lot of work. I know. I need that swipe up.
Yeah. So that's on your. What's your Instagram for those? What's the one they should follow for that?
For the business, it's Starlet, StarLette, Galleria, Galleria.
Gotcha. Okay. So how many followers are you at now?
I'm getting close to 7,000.
All right. Yeah, you're getting close.
Getting close.
you're getting close. So you'll be there. I know Instagram has never been my strength. For our e-commerce business, we have our team that manages it for our bigger brands, and they've done a pretty good job the last couple of years. But myself personally is like, I'm not. I think we put a little time into it a few years back. I think I'm at like 5,000 or something like that, and then I haven't. We need to refocus on that. But that's for a little different dynamic with the coaching. But you said earlier at the beginning of this conversation, Instagram is super important for your overall business, right? You're not spending any money on advertising, which is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So you don't lose. We started this conversation like, the goal of this for all you guys watching, right, is for all of you out here is to make money, right? And the reason we want to make money is for personal reasons, typically for family, financial, freedom, control, the ability, from a risk perspective. So you don't have to worry about getting fired, all those type of things for most people, but it comes down to how much profit you can make. But the model you're describing is pretty impressive, right? Because you're not spending money on Facebook ads. You don't spend a lot of money on fulfillment. Your profit margins on your product, we haven't talked much about the product yet, is excellent. And then you found a pretty good channel, it sounds like, through Instagram. And then the platform with the one-click upsells and the email follow-ups, all layers in probably. So that's good. That's actually, this is going from, again, how long, when did you begin this whole, like when did you start your online business again?
Well, I joined Alison's course, and I feel like that was my pivot moment in December 2018.
December 2018. Okay. So, so like a year and a half ago, pretty much, we'll call it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that long. So,
No.
that's pretty good. Now how about, so as far as sourcing your products, just your business right now. So do you source your products from, where do you source your products from?
I have a few different models for how I do the business stuff. So I have a manufacturer in China, and that's great because I can do a lot of my own designs. I can have a lot of input on creative stuff. But it takes 30 days from when I place my order to when I get it. And then I have to have pictures taken, get it up on the website. It takes a lot of planning. So I go to Miami to jewelry shows, and that's where I've met 3 other companies here in the United States, and the cost is higher and I don't get a say in what we make or what's done. But I can get the product very, very quickly. So if I do a deal site and I allow Shopify to sell out, say I have 150 rings, I can let Shopify sell 300 of them, have them overnighted, and then send it. So I don't even really have to have the product on hand. So that's why I have the companies in the United States. Mm-hmm. And then I love working in China just because I get a big say in everything.
Yeah. So, so that's kind of like a drop shipping model almost, where you don't actually have the product, but then that's good. Now in this model, and maybe I guess other people that are, you're part of the community, or with Alison's community of other people selling all sorts of different products, first of all, I guess, is there brands? Did you sell? Is it brandless, or are there brands in terms of what you sell?
No, I'm the brand.
You're the brand. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So the products that you sell, do you say it's by what is the name of the brand? Is it just your store name, or what's it called?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Starlight Galleria.
Gotcha. Okay. So everything sold through your thing is basically private labeled brand, or in this case, jewelry, right? So, okay. And then everyone else same thing, is that model, like that amongst I'll call it your fellow people selling in the group, is everyone selling products is it all private label through their own brands? Is that the same model?
No, it's actually interesting. There's a lot of different people doing different things. I've seen people that make candles, a lot of homemade goods, people selling like baking stuff. A lot of people make their things, which is very interesting to me. So I think there's a wide variety. I've seen people that actually signed up and they do like MLMs or things like that, but they take Alison's strategy and put it towards that. There's people that the business variety there is just crazy. It's so different. It's so diverse. Mm-hmm. There's not a ton of jewelry. There's a lot of boutiques, like clothing, things like that. But and private label is a big part of it, I think.
Yeah. So the people do the homemade, are they selling like through Etsy and channels like that then?
They're still using their own websites, or they're using the deal sites like Pick Your Plum or Brickyard Buffalo, or all of those little small deal sites that you can add to.
Yeah, Alison was smart when she developed the Pick Your Plum. Yeah, she did that. She's not a dummy.
Nope, not at all.
Yep, that was good. It's funny, Alison and I, we both there's a gal that helped me build, or I basically hired to help us build AMZ Insiders, Julie Stone. Julie had helped Alison early on build her stuff, so we were both mutual clients of Julie, and so that's where when we're building our Amazon course program, she first kind of pointed me to Alison just as someone in a different side of e-commerce doing things, but there was a lot of parallel paths. And so then, like I said, we've crossed paths at some of the annual events, the funnel hacking events. And so, again, Alison's she's the real deal. She's a lot of energy and pretty cool what she's done.
Yeah, she's definitely awesome, and she's so great to work with. I could not have done any of this without her help.
Yeah, that's cool. So how about so you have your product, you got a model that works. All right. So I'm just thinking like you put the business cap on here. So with your business and model, how about as you think about, I'll call it scaling, but scaling or growing is probably the best term. So how do you think about that? What are your limitations and challenges towards really growing your business?
It's a good question. Right now we do have trouble keeping inventory. That's a huge challenge because it feels like we sell out so fast, and then we think there's a product that's really going to sell. So we buy a ton of it, and then we end up having to just destash, get rid of it all on Groupon or something. I think a big limitation is inventory and supply right now for us. Also, I think that I probably need to hire a couple more people to help me out. Being by myself with all of this, it's nice. It would be nice to have, a little more help, maybe someone that has bigger and better ideas. And then I worked my corporate job until October. So I'm just now kind of getting into this swing of being an entrepreneur all on my own. Doing this full time, trying to fill up my days with a to-do list. Like, what do I need to do tomorrow so I don't end up watching Netflix all day or something?
Screw it. Just watch
like
Netflix.
Yeah, whatever.
It's passive income. You don't have to do anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I do. I have my little my list here, and then next day I look at all the things I didn't get done that I gotta get after today, and then rewrite it. So
I've always got my pad too right here.
Yeah, that is
me accountable.
Yeah, I always think that with I say e-commerce, with entrepreneurship, that's just an aspect. I remember when you're working, and everyone always thinks like when they're working like, oh, if I run my own business, I'd make endless type money, but then I would do this and not making money for someone else, which is in principle those are true, but it also is very dependent on you have to discipline yourself. Because no one says you have to show up at this time. So you've got to, and that is a real struggle for lots of people. And like I said, like you mentioned too, you're on your own, you're at home, right? So it's not like you're in an office with 30 people to kick you in the butt. You gotta stay at it, right?
Yeah, it's true. And if sales dip, I'm the only person that takes a hit from it. So can't let that happen.
Yeah. So your business, you've got, so inventory is one. It sounds like which is good though. You have the ability to order more and you've got, different supply channels. Is your goal to add more and more, options, more and more products to sell, or kind of what's your thinking in terms of your existing products? How does that work? I mean, you're at X number of products now. Do you want to like double and triple that?
I'm actually scaling back right now because I went through a phase where we were always at zero inventory. We would get all of our product and it would sell. And then we'd be like, oh, great. Now for 30 days, because we were working in China, we won't have anything to sell. So I think, sorry, I lost track of where I was going with that.
No, it's just, yeah, you're basically, which makes sense. A lot of times people can get spread out too much with too many products and it actually hurts your business too thin versus having a couple. Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. So I went on a shopping spree and I spent tons and tons of money and bought a ton of different products. And I think that I went to school for marketing and there's this book called The Paradox of Choice. And that book just always stuck out to me. And I can't believe that I went against the paradox of choice of customers have too many things to choose from. They'll choose nothing. And so now I'm learning that I need to stick with one product, one thing really hit it hard, get everybody to have that one thing, and then move on to the next thing. So right now we're trying to declutter our inventory and clean those things out, get rid of a lot of things that aren't selling, and focus more on one product, on our, what Alison would call a winning product.
Yeah, so that makes total sense. I think one of the things I like to talk to people about is, the mindset with these businesses is, focus is such a massive thing. So most, successful people are good at picking things that matter and really focusing on going deep as opposed to going wide with, without a lot of quality. So that makes total sense with your business there. And then you sell your customers, they all across the US. Do you have customers from outside of the US, or is it all US?
It's mostly US, a few in Canada, but with the pandemic, there's some really high fees for them to get packages from the United States, so they're not ordering right now.
Gotcha. How about on the job side? At what point in the journey of your business here were you saying, "Hey, I'm going to quit this job"? Was that pre-planned before this thing got going, or kind of what was that? Where did that point hit?
I was kind of unhappy in my job, to be honest. I had worked my way up to a point where I'd hit a ceiling, and I went down to HR one time and I just said, "Hey, what can I do to move up? I'm not growing anymore." And the guy said, "I think you should just quit your job and go to another company. This company is too big. What you offer, we're not really looking for." And so I started looking for other jobs, and I just thought, man, I don't want just another job. So I thought if I could grow this company, that could be my full-time job. But I honestly didn't really ever believe that would be true. I knew a lot of people that had done it, but I didn't think that I could do it personally. Mm-hmm. So by the time I had made double what my yearly income was at my full-time job in this job, and I started to notice that not only was I making more money, but my business was taking a hit because I couldn't grow anymore because I could only work so much. And so it came down to a point where I'm losing money to work a job that I don't like. And that was kind of the moment where I thought, what am I doing? So
at that point, you should definitely give up your e-commerce business and go all in on the day job, is what I'm hearing.
Right. Yeah. Got to get those benefits. So thankfully, I have a husband that believes in me. He truly sees more potential in me than I see in myself. And he was telling me months before, he's like, just quit your job. But I'm like, you're too free with all of that. I have to have a plan. I have to have everything planned out. Yeah. So I gave them a month of notice. I quit my job on October 1st. And I said, I'm going to be gone by the 31st. And so I gave them a whole month, and I had planned everything out. And it was just, it was a big thing for us to do.
That's great. So that's like almost the ideal point where you're literally, as you said, it was literally costing you money because your venture had become profitable enough and enough growth that it's literally, the time is basically costing you money. The opportunity cost of your time is way more expensive doing your day job than doing this, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's awesome. I'll share one short story. My co-founder is Jason, who we used to be next door neighbors in our other neighborhood here. And Jason, native China, but he was an IT consultant. I was the chief operating officer of this education company at the time, and we were neighbors. And he was first selling stuff out of his garage. And when things really took off, he was an IT consultant, so he would go get billable hours at these different companies. And I think it was from like January through through October, just doing e-commerce. Like wasn't trying to get any billable hours, no projects, nothing. But he was part of this really big company so they started emailing him like, "Hey, we noticed that you haven't, done any projects. Have you?" And so in November, at this point, the business is like taken off into 7 figures plus in a short period of time. And he has zero time for that old job, but he hasn't told anyone he's quit it or not. So the HR contacts him and says, "Hey, sorry, due to your inactivity, we're going to have to let you go. We have a severance for you for it was like $30,000 check." And he's like, we're sorry. He's like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that good. So the best part of the story is they sent him the check. I forget. I think he was like one of the first person in Georgia to get when the Teslas first came out. It was like one of the original ones, but comes out and he's in his car 8 months after he gets the check, and he's got so much crap all over the place. And he finds like the $30,000 check that he never cashed because he was so busy with all the Amazon money that was coming in, and it was like expired or whatever. It was like almost like it was more. I think it was almost a year. He found the check. And he was like, "Oh shit, I forgot about that." So that's how
funny.
Busy we were with the growth of the e-commerce business to even care at that level. So it was,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane, right? So that's this. There's a lot of parallels. To me, is what you're describing, the goal and the why. Not that we didn't go deep into it with you, but is right. It's the same, right? It's the same. Doesn't matter what. This is just the vehicle that you're using to achieve what you want to achieve. So that's pretty cool. How about any advice for people that are getting into e-commerce and looking to follow a similar path as yourself?
Yeah, I would say I never thought I'd be sitting in this spot. When you asked if you could talk to me, I was like, are you sure it's me that you want to talk to? I just feel very normal. My life is normal. I'm just a normal person. I don't have any extraordinary talents except that I work really, really hard. So I feel like people will go and join a course or start e-commerce thinking that they're not going to have to work at it. And if that's why you're going into it, you should not do it because it is a lot of work. You have to put in the time. You have to learn from your failures and not let those discourage you too much, because I've had so many failures in this last year and I've had so many times I've wanted to quit. But I think that if you truly want it, you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
That's it's like I wanted to quit, but then I looked at the bank account and was like, oh, this business isn't bad.
Yeah.
The other one I've shared before, there's like a diagram that shows like the life of an entrepreneur where it's like, it's pretty much like, oh, I'm so excited. Like, oh, I suck. This is no good. And like, no, what was I thinking? This is great. And then it's up and down, up and down. And so I think that mindset piece is real. And I think you talked earlier, it's kind of like the imposter syndrome or believability, right? Like, do I believe I can actually do this? I don't believe. And it's like so much more common, for people than I think any of us realize, right? All of us kind of have these doubts of, at times, and then you break through and you get going and then something else happens and you have this fear that's constantly there in our lives.
It's so true.
Yeah. But, I think, which is, part of the reason why it's great is when within our, I'll call it, I don't want to say it's circle, but the networking of people we have in Amazon at times, or there's kind of I almost call it like a circuit of people who go to these events. And it's kind of like when I see Alison in the ClickFunnels world and digital marketing, there's kind of, these are big circles and they're changing all the time. But, sometimes we're talking to ourselves. You're a great example of someone who, started not that long ago, came in completely fresh and now have, become a veteran, right? You're within your own time period, right? I mean, you know a lot more than, your friend that's never done this before, and you've had success with it, which is awesome. And then it, puts you kind of in a cool opportunity to potentially share some of that back with people in terms of just your own journey. And it's also really cool, I find, to connect with others because, what I've found in the Amazon space, we never really were out there connecting too much with other people. But now we've connected with some of the people it's good because they understand the similar challenges that you're doing with the business. Sometimes at your house, I know like my close friends nearby here, if I talk about what we do during the day, there's only like so much you can really relate to it, right? But the online, so it's great connecting with some of these people that become your friends. And then also, we feed off of those people for new ideas and new approaches and vice versa. So there's a lot of two-way dialogue just because, things change every year in this space, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I do not bring up what I do most of the time, especially in a mom's group. I just say, oh, I work from home. And that's all they mostly know about me. I have friends that really don't know what I do, but that's okay.
Yeah, just tell them I sell stuff. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I tell. People say that to me all the time at kids' school. Hey, what is it that you do? You do something. Yeah, we sell stuff online, which is
That's a good answer.
Yep, which is great in this time period too. I mean, you through the pandemic and through the time again, your business, you said, has been pretty strong, right?
Yeah, we actually did one of our best months in March, which is interesting because the day that closures started happening, it was a Thursday. And if you have Shopify, every time you get a sale, I don't know if Amazon does this, but you hear a cha-ching go off on your phone.
Okay, nice.
It's the most addicting sound. I love that sound. So every day you get used to hearing cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching throughout the day. Well, that day, there was not one. And I thought, oh, shoot, I quit my job just a few months ago. I can't believe I did this.
I'm getting no cha-chings.
Yeah, no cha-ching that day. But then the next day it picked back up. And I think it's because people are at home, they're bored. Again, I sell a non-essential item, but there were still birthdays going on. There's still anniversaries. Mother's Day is coming up. People still want to feel some kind of normalcy and they want to keep shopping. So even through all of this, I felt really blessed that our income has actually done better than it previously has.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's one of the things I think is interesting. Through the pandemic, there's all sorts of course, news, political news, and information, and then from an economic standpoint. On one hand, it's like by far the biggest. I mean, it's the only shutdown, like a true shutdown of this scale of people, having to stay home. But my own take is, on the economic activity, there's like a lot more economic activity that's still going on that people don't realize. It's hard to relate to. It's not like the economy has truly shut down. It's shifted, in big ways and accelerated because what you shared is not uncommon at all. I mean, when there's a large mutual fund, actually they're based out of Colorado. They kind of hire me once a quarter to talk to me and just ask me, what we're seeing in our business, and then they do that with other sellers because they're making their decisions to invest their Amazon holdings or other e-commerce. And so they called me a couple weeks ago, and our business was up about like 10%, and some pretty big numbers versus last year. And yeah, he said he was sharing with me that, yeah, across the board, it was like on the Amazon side, it was like up close to 20%. So it's not like, there was a shift. Now, obviously, there's certain jobs out there, hairstylists, nail salon. There's certain things that were really impacted, and that, hopefully we'll get back here sooner than later. But it's not like, these changes are just creating new flows of or escalating, moving things faster, these other opportunities. And you and I are both, even though, we're both kind of in spaces that, we're fortunate, that it hasn't slowed us down, right? It's kind of the crazy. Yeah. There is no option to really go sit and watch Netflix or anything. There's just too much to do. We can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it definitely, I'm a little jealous of people that are like posting all these TikTok videos. I haven't even had a chance to figure TikTok out yet. Yeah. So, it's been really, really busy.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's, it's crazy. It's good. It's busy. So that's really awesome. I think, we're going to post I'm going to post in the comments, both your store, I want to make sure it's because I'm on my, we're restreaming here. So we're kind of on multiple platforms as we speak, but I know that's the is it starletagallery.com?
Here, can I send it to you in this chat?
Yeah. We've got a lot of things going on here, and I've got Olivia and I are on Skype, and then that is coming through Ecamm Live, and then Ecamm Live is going to Restreamer, and then Restreamer is pushing this out where you guys are watching this now. So, but it's actually working. So, yeah, I'm just gonna see from Ecamm if I can. Let me see the comments. I can go see. I think I have to go. So I'm going to post that as soon as we jump off. I'm going to add it to the link. So I'll put that in the link there. And then we'll also put the link to Alison's program, the 0 to 100K program you have. Again, I'm a big fan of Alison, not so much from, hey, I've done her course. I just know Alison and know she's the real deal and inspirational. And you're the first person actually I've talked to other than Alison that has actually like been through her program and everything. And so I know you speak highly of her as well.
Oh yeah. Love
She's
Alison.
okay, right? That's cool. But awesome. So any cha-chings today?
Yes. Yeah.
We don't have that on Amazon. We don't have that on Amazon. We just
that stinks.
Yeah. It's
How do you keep track of your sales then? Do you have does it tell you?
I know if you don't hear the word cha-ching, there's pretty much no way. We're
know?
screwed. All you Amazon sellers, we have. That's how well conditioned you are.
That upgrade.
I know. It probably is. Actually, my buddy Dima, it's a cool app. I'm gonna make him, add that to his third-party site that I use his app often to check sales of some of our brands. But it's it just comes in and for our coaching bit, it's just we have like a Stripe update on that. Like, well, there's a notification. There's no cha-ching. Is that through Shopify site, the cha-ching, or is it through like?
Yeah.
It is. That's fun.
Yeah, it's the app on my phone, and it tells you can look at a dashboard of all of your sales and where they're coming from, where people are getting stuck in your website. It can tell me right now I've had 36 orders today, and so it just kind of keeps you updated. But the cha-ching is an added bonus because if you're having a bad day and you hear it, you're like, yes.
Absolutely. And we're like well-trained, conditioned, I should say, for that. No, absolutely. So that's how about like did they have a sound for you when you get a return? Like,
no, thankfully they don't.
Yeah. That's funny. I always say like e-commerce is a little different, but like it's I mean a sale is good. Returns can be like painful, but in your business probably not too bad, right? In terms of I'm sure most people are pleased. Hopefully, unless it's the wrong size or something like that.
Yeah, we do a lot more exchanges than we do returns. So
yeah, that's good. Excellent. All right, Olivia. Well, I think we covered a lot in here. I think we went a little over an hour. Again, the intent for everyone here was to really just to add value. I thought this was really great. I think you guys watching would agree to give you guys a perspective on kind of get your mindset a little bit outside of Amazon, or just think in terms of e-commerce, of the opportunities. A lot of similarities in terms of, hey, it's not easy. There's ups and downs. But with the opportunity is huge if you're willing to put in the time and stick with it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, this was it's really good. Again, everyone, I will put the links both to Olivia's store. Maybe go follow the store on Instagram as well too, and then if you're interested in the program as well too, for really the exact methodology that you followed, then you can check that as well too. That we'll put the link there for that. Cool. Any final thoughts?
I think we've covered everything.
Yep, at least for today. This is a 8-month sequence, just like your email sequence. So we'll do this every week from. No, I'm just kidding. We did cover a lot in one session here, but you guys let us know in the comments too. Again, if you watched it live, I always like to hear that. If you replay, go ahead and put replay, and any question or comments around the space, you can let us know in there too, and we'll circle back to you guys. So hope you guys enjoy this. All right, thanks, Olivia.
Thank you.
All right.